Inshallah. We'll make a one rak'ah, taslim, and then we continue. That's how it's done. Without sujood sahw. Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. When you contemplate in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we look into the creation of the human being, you realize that the most important part in the life, in the existence of every one of us is the soul. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى إني خالق بشرا من طين. I'm going to create a human out of clay. فإذا قال سويته, after I have fashioned, completed all the molding of the shape. قال ونفخت فيه من روحي, and then I breathe into from the soul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, and Allah dignified the soul through had it attributed to Himself. قال روحي, my ruh, my soul, means the one created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like saying Naqatullah. The sujood happened after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has breathed into this shape, the soul. But the most important in our existence is the soul. Because the soul has been dignified, the soul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained us to purify. And He said, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. Successful will be the one who purified, and will be وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ losers, the one who corrupted. Therefore, as a believer, the most important focus that we need to have in our life is the soul. We always taking care of the body, feed the body, clothe the body, beautify the body. People, they go overboard to make plastic surgery for the body. And then, subhanallah, we forget about the soul. And the problem when we forget about the soul, it becomes like very superficial, very, you only work with the tangible things, with the physical things. And we believe that everything is fine because we've been kind of blinded and turned and blind eye to the soul. And the soul is amazing, is an amazing soul. SubhanAllah, the soul, your soul, it already existed before even you being born. Look, one of the dalil, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالَ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُنَادَوْنَ لَمَقْتُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ مَقْتِكُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. So what they said, قَالُوا رَبَّنَا أَمَتَّنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ وَأَحْيَيْتَنَا اثْنَتَيْنِ. Oh Allah, you have us to cause to die 2 times, and you have us to make us to resurrect it or like give us life 2 times. So the first time is before you've been born. You were in a state where we do not know, but your soul existed, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you life. This is, and then you died again. Everybody's going to die in this life. And then the first life is this life, and the second life is the day of judgment. And then to Him to return. So there's 5 stages of life. And then this body, subhanAllah, belongs to the earth. It's going to stay in the earth. You're not going to take it with you. It's going to be kind of given back to you in the day of judgment for the judgment. But then, inshaAllah, all of you will be in Jannah. You're not going to have this body. This body is a test. When you look at your mirror, the mirror is not who you are. What you look is your soul. This is a reflection of who you are here in this dunya, because in the akhirah, you're going to be having different image. You're going to be in as tall as Adam alayhi salam, beautiful, but you can't change your face. I mean, there is a whole mall for faces, where the angel will be guiding you, and you're going to say, I like this. It's like you buy faces, like you buy an attire today in this dunya. But the point here is like when you take care of your soul, then you be a person who live subhanallah, the fulfillment, and he will live a life in depth. But when we do not take care of the soul, then we'll be superficial. This is one aspect of the soul. Allah again in Surah Az-Zumar, He telling us that Allah will take your soul during your sleep. So during your sleep, it's like a body breathing. There's no soul. And if Allah will subhanahu wa ta'ala will, He will hold the soul. Allah يتوفى الأنفس قال في منامها والتي لم تمت والتي يتوفى الأنفس والتي لم تمت في منامها فيمسك التي قضى عليها الموت. So Allah holds the soul that it came to an end, that the decreed term, it came to an end. And ويرسل الأخرى to live what the rest of its term. So when you think, so your soul, which is you do not know what is a soul, it's a kind of air, something that you cannot grasp, that you cannot touch. And they ask you about the soul, they say the soul is from the knowledge of Allah, and you have only provided or attained of the knowledge a little. وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Then subhanallah, if we neglect this important part of us, we're going to be subhanallah totally oblivious, totally deluded, in full illusion. That's why when you read the Quran and you activate the soul to be subhanallah with you, then it will be totally different life. Because this soul requires food, requires nutrition. The nourishment of the soul is the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The nourishment of the soul, to have the soul to remember all its lives. The life in the grave. You have to reflect, your soul is going to be there. This body is not. The life on the day of judgment. Your life standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's who you are. Don't be deluded by the people, the secular people, or the people who live in this physical world. Only they know is only this world that has been subhanallah corrupted. قَالَ ثُمَّ رَدَدْنَاهُ أَسْفَلَ سَافِلِينَ. The people who live the true aspect of the soul, when they read the Quran, they ponder deeply. One of the Zuhad, and I believe it was named Abu al-Hasan al-Zad, he was in his, secluded retreat in his room. And suddenly, subhanallah, start to weep. Weeping, hard weeping, crying. Everybody in the house is subhanallah, is awake. But nobody there to go and to see what's happening. Out of respect, out of, privacy that they didn't want. So the mother said to one of the kids, he said, go and ask his friend, his very close friend, and tell him about the situation if he can help us. Maybe he's dying, nobody knows. I mean, something when you hear someone crying, it's really bewildering, it's really, you don't know what's going on. He came to him, he knocked nicely at the door, he said, who's there? He said, so-and-so. So he was shocked, he said, just I need to talk to you. So he came and he just finished crying and breathing heavily. He told him, everyone in the house is very concerned. What happened to you? What happened? He said, I was reading the Quran during my prayer and I passed by one ayah. He said, one ayah did all this for you? He said, yes. This is the soul who is alive. He said, what is this ayah? The ayah that we have read in the Quran, had read in Surah Az-Zumar. قَالَ وَلَوْ أَنَّ لِلَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا. For those who transgress themselves, if they have the kingdom of the whole earth and one like it, to give it as a ransom, to save themselves from the punishment of hellfire, it will not be accepted from them. Gather all the billionaires all together today No, altogether they will not have the ability or the possession of the whole earth. Or in the other ayah, if the whole earth, the capacity of the whole earth is gold, the weight of earth, gold, it will not be accepted as a ransom to be saved from hellfire. But the scary part is what's coming. وَبَدَا لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يَكُونُوا يَحْتَسِبُونَ. And it appeared to them when they see the record something that they didn't expect at all. They thought they have mountains of hasanat, they didn't find anything. That what make this zahid to be in tears a whole night, bewildered, terrified. Why? Because he has a live soul. He has a heart that is alive. Because when you read this ayah, and it does not affect us, we have a dormant soul. Or we've been, subhanallah, being pulled into this dunya that we forget about our existence, our own soul. That's the meaning of it. And remind yourself, keep remind yourself, the angels had prostrate by the order of Allah to your father of Adam to this soul. And this soul, it has only value when it's purified, which means submitted to Allah, but is neglectful. When it is, subhanallah, lost, when it is corrupted, this soul has only one destination, is hellfire. And in hellfire, the body will be doubled. It's going to be amplified. It's not the body of this dunya. As the Prophet ﷺ in a hadith, he said, the part of the shoulder is like a big distance. The one teeth as big as Uhud. Why? To taste more the punishment. So if, subhanAllah, Sufyan al-Thawri said, this ayah is for those who show off. They think they did, and I have Hajj, and I have Umrah, and I have Siyam, and I have things. When they come, they don't find anything. It's not, subhanAllah, to scare us, but to be mindful, to always ask Allah. If you do, look, the Prophet ﷺ taught us when you finish the prayer to say Astaghfirullah. That's so humble, the Prophet ﷺ teaching us. Ibrahim, Allah appointed him the place of the house to build it. And while he's building it, he said, Ya Allah, accept from me. Ibrahim, the friend of Allah, appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do it. It's like a great honor. I wanted to build my house. And his building said, Taqabbal min. Ya Allah. So that part that we include into or introduce in our worship, to be humble, to be submitted, to have that submissive state when you are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to beg Him for every action. Ya Allah, accept from us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dignify us by purifying our soul. Ila salati yarhamkum.